Did you ever play a family game that often ended in chaos and sometimes even ended up in a little bloodshed? Now, I'm not talking about the petty dramas of Monopoly, where my brother, when he was losing, would sell all his property to my sisters for $1 so that I could not win. Or, when all else failed, he would simply flip over the board and throw a punch my way. I'm talking about a game that should have been peaceful, but always ended up in fights and sometimes even a little bloodshed. Of course, I'm talking about that classic family game from Milton Bradley, Feely Mealy. For those of you that have never played Feely Mealy, the centerpiece of the game was a box with a shrouded handhole on each side, a variety of random objects, and a playing card that corresponds to each object. All of the items go into the box, and once they're in the box, since the holes are shrouded, you can't see where they are in the box. And the cards go in a stack face down on the top of the box. To start the game, each player puts one of their hands on top of the box. One player will flip over a card, and all of the players will put their hands through their hole and race to find the object that is depicted on the card. Since you cannot see inside the box, you need to find the object by touch only, thus the name of the game, Feely Mealy. The first person to successfully pull out the item that was depicted on the card is the winner of that round. They get to keep that card. At the end of the game, when there are no more objects in the box, the player that has collected the most cards is declared the winner. It was a fast-paced game of mad scramble inside the box as you raced the other players to find the correct object. Now, some of the objects were very unique. For example, the spoon, the fork, the shopping cart, the tray, the comb, the brush, the rhino, the alligator, and the mirror. Those objects were so unique they were easy to find. Some objects were harder to distinguish by rapid feel. Examples included some of the animals: the goat, the calf, the donkey, the horse, the lamb, and the dog. Those were harder to distinguish from one another inside the box. Of course, the hardest two objects to distinguish were the red checker and the black checker. Since you couldn't determine color by feel, it was simply a 50-50 guess as to which checker you actually had. So how did this fun family game draw blood? Well, as you can imagine, even in its most peaceful form, the game required some amount of hand fighting inside the box to get the correct object. But the real problem was the fork. For some stupid reason, Milton Bradley decided to put a fork as one of the objects inside the box. Now, the fork was easy, of course, to identify by feel. The problem was that if someone, for example your big brother, was losing the game, their go-to move would be to find the fork and repeatedly stab you in the hand as you looked for the correct object. He would stab you every time for every item until finally you walked away in disgust, and then he would declare himself the winner because, of course, you're a quitter. Quitters don't win. Ironically, while searching for pictures of the game online, I stumbled upon this image. Notice in the photo that the fork has all of its tines broken off. That was our exact fork. These in-box stabbings were so severe that over time, the tines actually broke off the fork. Though as it turned out, a fork with stubby tines hurts just as much as a regular fork with tines. My oldest sister still has the game, but it isn't played much anymore. My nightmares of fork stabbings have mostly subsided, but my relationship with my brother is still a lot like that fork, busted. These days, our family sticks to fights over much less hazardous games like spoons or pit. Still competitive, but much less likely to draw blood. Do you have a story about a game that caused fights in your family? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Please drop it in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe, hit the thumb, hit the bell, and as always, sincerely, thank you for watching.